All right. I'm actually just going to throw up a quick YouTube live stream. I do that every now and then. And then I'll explain our situation again today, what we're looking at. But we got basically signs of strength, and some have moved up, some have not. We're in accumulation, reaccumulation. Maybe the pound dollar, pound yen setting up soon, but I'll explain everything. All right, guys, just give me a moment. I'm just doing a couple of things here, letting some potential setups for them, and I'll give you the analysis. And I can answer any questions you may have. You could type to me directly on Skype. So just give me 1 minute here. All right, I'm back. Back to the charts. All right, so what you see is the pound dollar pound yen is, let me jump out here. So pound dollar, and this is really correlated. The market's really correlated right now. So this is the story overall. Today, the down moves have shown a lot of strength. And we're basically coming off of this big up move last week, which did not really show much signs of weakness or distribution here. So we had a markup and we're in reaccumulation here. So the projection is to, of course, attempt to continue the trend, test the high, and maybe continue. So in one way or another, that's what we're seeing everywhere. Some are at fib, some are at support, but they're all either fake breakouts or fib moves. Again, euro dollar. So a lot of these have moved up. The reason why I drew this is because some of these have moved up pretty well off of the sign of strength today in the reaccumulation, right? It was early, and it just kind of went pretty quickly. Some of these didn't, like the pound is still sitting at a nice low price. So the point is, and I wasn't on earlier to trade, otherwise I probably would be in one or more of these already. But at this point, I don't want to chase it. So the ones that have moved up, I'm hoping for a retracement. Like, for example, the euro dollar. All right, so it's really, the way I trade, textbook situation here with the retracement to the fib, the sign of strength, and then in the 5 minute signs of strength, and you get no supply entries here, and you get entries early. But now that it's moved up away from really this area where I look to get in, it kind of skews things as far as risk reward, and really, like, there's a weakness coming in here. Now, this area in particular, you see that I have a line there, is previous support to resistance. What else was it? It's a 618. If you draw a fib here, get rid of the other fib. Get in there and you'll see it is also the 618. So if sellers are hanging around, if supply is still active in large enough amounts where we don't want to go long yet, then this is a place in which we can find out. It'll show up. And we did get some. This is the highest price right there. And this is really the test of the 618 and the previous support, right? And it's a sign of weakness. So we're likely to get, hopefully, some sort of retracement there. So there are situations where I would be still confident to look to get in this far off of the initial setup pattern. But this is not one of those times with weakness. If you were sitting up here, you get a low volume, not high volume, but low volume test and no supply, and a break off of that and the proper behavior here, okay, it's likely going daily pivot and back to the high. But in this case, it's not behaving right for me to even consider that. But again, if there's some supply showing up, then we're a little more likely to get a retracement anyway, and then look for the sign of strength. If you notice, this pattern is the same pattern that we're doing on the 1 hour chart, right? The up move, the retracement, the sign of strength, right? It's a fractal situation, the up move, and we're looking for it here. So that is one of the most basic sort of template of the market kind of things, is to test this area. So what's up, guys? We got some extra people in the webinar from the chat. And I'm also streaming on YouTube today, which I'm going to be doing every now and then. So that pretty much sums up the market for you, right? Any questions? Everybody's doing their variation on this sign of strength reaccumulation or accumulation thing today. And if things start to move up, it's going to be the pound dollar, pound yen that I'll be looking to get in, most likely, one or both, because of where they are. See, it's nice and low, and I'm not chasing the price. If things move down, then a retracement again could be here, and look to get in long off a sign of strength on that down move. Again, maybe here EJ, right? I don't want to chase it. This is a failed push, if people know that about my method. This is a failed push through. So the probability of this thing just going in a straight line and looking to get in here, not very good. Then again, it is sitting up here, and it is accepting these prices. So if volume drops and it's sitting up here, then it might just go. But it's not in a situation where I want to chase it. So again, here, if we can, maybe I'll do that fib there now. Get a little, fractal version of this pattern. And a sign of strength. But generally, things are pretty bullish here. It's just a matter of finding a good right entry and timing it right. Not a lot of news today. Pretty quiet news-wise until Thursday. So we could end up just sort of bouncing off of these lows today and maybe not going that far until Thursday. Or maybe we will. Check the live stream. I got to just switch back to that now and then, see if there's any questions there. See who's there. Anybody? I have almost 3,000 subscribers. There should be some people in here. Well, there's 11 people in the live stream. What's up, guys? Live stream people, you can type in the box. Type in there just to show me that it's working, first of all. Because I see a message from me from last time, I think. So hopefully it's working. There's like a 30-second delay on the YouTube stream, by the way. Oh, there you go, guys. Streak, gear drop. What's up, guys? So anyone who knows my method, the charts have spoken here. It's very straightforward. Well, basic VSA will tell you this, but also if you've studied my method. Low studio on max volume reporting. Oh, I can try to turn up. DeMarco was up. I can try to turn up my volume. See, it's a weird balance because I don't want to distort and go nuts in the webinar because that volume is probably high. But let me turn it up a bit. All right, is that better? How's the audio? Check, check, check. I'll talk nice and loud. Okay, good. So yeah, people on the YouTube stream can type in the box. I'll check in every couple of minutes. Any questions or whatever. And the webinar people, of course, the guests today in the webinar can type to me directly on Skype. That's why you guys had a couple of questions, I think, in the chat. Someone's asking about the course, the video course. From what I heard, everybody's been happy with it. I'll tell you honestly, there was one guy who was not happy with it. He said, "Man, this is not working for me. I'm really pissed off. I'm going to tell everybody." And I said, "Come join the live sessions, man. Relax." He goes, "I'm going to leave bad reviews." And he showed me his trades for a week. I said, "You're not doing it right. Come join the live sessions." All right. And I won him over. And he's doing good. And I said, "Do me a favor, leave a good review now." So we did that. So yeah, everybody, from what I've heard, has been happy. I haven't heard anything negative. That was the one time. And he came around. He's a supporter now. And I tell you, that course is now, is it almost 2 years old? I don't think I've changed a thing. It says a lot about the method. So again, if you're just joining us, the short version is signs of strength all over the place today. Reaccumulation, accumulation. Things are bullish. We're in markup or accumulation, reaccumulation during markup. Fib retracements, double bottom, fake breakouts. So it's all very bullish. We're just looking for the right time, the right setup. Anybody trading my method, if you're basically even half familiar with it, this should be very straightforward today and be able to understand what's happening. If not, you can ask questions. Was there any other questions in the chat about the course? If you have any other questions, you can ask, or of course, you may want to ask the people that bought it, so you can ask again in the chat, maybe at another time. Hopefully, somebody that got it will answer you. And the live sessions have been very good, very, very good. Trading has been good. Sometimes the market is a little out of whack, and whatever may happen on occasion. But none of that going on. Everything's been really good. And really, when that happens, it's more of a back off, trade less, lower your risk, and wait for things to come around. But what the method tells you the condition of the market, as opposed to like you're just going in there with some indicators and you're kind of clueless, or you're trading based off a couple of things, support, resistance, or this or that, which you guys aren't doing, and you really have no idea what's really going on. But this method tells you. Today is very simple. You just have to believe what you're seeing, right? What I like to do is, if things are showing themselves clearly, and there's a consensus among smart money, well, even if there isn't, you kind of want to just almost imagine what they're saying. What they're saying today is, let's start off London session buying into the dips. Things are very bullish. Whoever's selling today is likely limited and will give us good prices to buy, because we expect in the near future that the selling, down move here, that the selling is going to dry up soon, right? That's why they bought into it. If they didn't think the selling was going to dry up soon, they would have maybe started accumulating a 618 or somewhere else. So you get a sell-off that is believed to be temporary, and they start buying into it. But we wait for the test, so we don't have to be so aggressive. But what they're saying today is, let's buy, 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 buy. But there's a good amount of patience as far as, it's not trying to get forced up through little signs of weakness that appear here and there. But on the other hand, they're not really following through with that and bringing it down. If you follow the storyline here, it's really simple. This is new low ground. And of course, you have the principle of supply and demand. Lower prices may attract buyers. If the volume's high, it stops the progress. You have found professional buyers. So we have that here. 14 EMA test for sellers. They don't show up. You get a no supply here. And then a little higher up, you finally see some increased volume at higher prices, right? The opposite of demand, some supply coming in. And it retraces, and look what it does there. Familiar pattern? And they buy it again here. This is what hopefully this is going to look like, right? That would mean going up there. It's a fractal pattern. It's part of the template of how professionals work. So if you think of the euro dollar, it's the 5-minute version. This is the projection, right? We're here on a 1-hour chart on the euro dollar. That is the projection. Get here, you test, right? This look familiar. Could be a fake break, but the selling isn't following through. There's only so many moves the market does. It's based off a template or as Wyckoff called it, primary phases or whatever. And a lot of things fit together with this as simplified Elliott wave. Typically, there's 5 waves in the ABC retracement, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C. Yeah, sort of. But I don't really look at that on a 5-minute chart. But let's see the 1-hour chart. Typically, it's 3 moves up and 2 moves back on a retracement. See, that's not here at all. And if there's no wave count, I don't really worry about it. 4 hour is good for that. But it's not always there. So everybody get where we are, know what we're looking for. The pairs that have moved up off the sign of strength already, I don't want to chase it. There's a bit of supply showing up, so hopefully there'll be a bit of a retracement, fib, or maybe even a double bottom, and a fresh sign of strength and sort of reset up. If not, again, we have the pound dollar, pound yen option, because they have not moved up off of the strength, but hopefully it sets up right here. But this is very good, right? This is what we wanted here. So this is, showing them accumulating. And when you see it twice in a price area, it says a lot. And again, the principle, lower prices may attract buyers. If they're accumulating, lower prices should constantly attract high volume, even if it keeps going lower. But here's support, lower prices, high volume. Now it could go lower, but when we break this and see lower prices, again, high volume, right? That tells you smart money's buying into the down moves, buying into their buy orders are only triggered when price is moving down. That's how you get that sign of strength. So it's when they switch over from waiting for lower prices to buy to buying in such a way to mark up price intentionally. We want to find that point, right? Because we can be getting in here. Oh, they bought here, let's buy. But maybe they're not done letting the sellers bring it down and buy at lower prices yet. So we want to see them switch over basically from accumulating into markup, right? And when does that happen? When the selling runs out. What is that? Low supply, no supply, lack of supply. So that's how the market works. Any questions? See if we get it set up today here. Let's see. There's some typing in the YouTube chat. How many trades do you take per week? Much less now. On average, it's 3. Lately, it's been maybe 2. But good quality stuff, and I've been picky. But on average, over time, it's 1 a day, and I'm only trading 2 hours a day, maybe 3 or 4 if I'm kind of waiting for a setup or watching a trade or whatever. So if you consider a few hours, then it's only, and it's 1 trade. If I was trading 8 hours, maybe I'd have 2 or 3 on average a day. So if you apply my method and you're fairly conservative and you trade a full session, you may get 3 or 2 on average. On average, which means some days are 0, and rightfully so. You know when not to trade. Some days you may get setups galore all over the place, right? And basically, if there's a valid setup, I should be in it, unless it's sort of on the aggressive side, and then I can skip it. But I kind of look at it as, if there's a setup, I should be in it. Because then, you could talk yourself out of it. Might as well stay in bed, though, if you don't take the trade, right? Which broker am I using now? FXCM. I've had no problems with them, and I'm staying with them. I've had problems with plenty of others, and I went back. So that's where I am now. Just as far as, the execution and all that stuff. So yeah, I didn't really plan this today, but I ended up inviting people in the chat and on the mailing list. If you're in the webinar and you'd rather watch on YouTube live stream, you can go do that instead. If you're in YouTube live stream and it sucks, you'd rather go join the webinar itself, you can contact Pete Fader on Skype and then you can join the webinar. But every now and then I'll do this. So if you want to be notified of the free live stream on occasion that I'll be doing, you can go to myfxsource.com and just put your email in the subscribe box. You don't get any spam. I don't send a lot of emails at all. And you'll be notified. Unless you want me to spam you, I can sell you some EA that doesn't work. Make money while you sleep. You already bought that, didn't you? All right, so looking at the charts. If we're coming down, again, right, slightly lower price. If smart money is accumulating, what are they doing now? They're seeing if the price gets here. If so, it's going to trigger some buying. Here, same. This is 618. This is so revealing. They can't hide. If they buy here, we know what's going on. If they don't buy here, we know what's going on. So they're both new low ground into support, into 618, all that. Again, if we're getting a down move, and let's say maybe the pounds don't set up, these guys, right? This is good, this is good. This is exactly why I didn't chase it and buy. See the weakness, let's come down, see them buy again. Make sure they buy again. That's the thing, remember, smart money can accumulate, and you can see 4 signs of strength over an hour or 2 or 3. You know, high volume spikes, signs of strength. Doesn't mean they're ready to mark up yet. Doesn't mean it may not come right back down and do it again before it goes up. And it's a matter of getting the proper lack of supply along with that buying. And not chasing price into areas that sellers are likely to show up, even if it's temporary, because it's still just a bad entry. They could hit your stop and then most likely continue soon after. Right? You rage quit. So smart money's saying what right now? Sellers are still active. Let them sell. And we may or may not buy just a few pips below where we are now. We're very near where we expect them to really load up again. Here we are, 618, load up. But see a volume spike and a rejection. Right? If they don't do it, we'll know. Can't hide it. Here, right? Let's get a volume that's at least higher than all of these. Maybe comparable to this or even higher. It doesn't have to be huge. But an increase, rejection. You're $1. Here we go. We had this marked in advance. So let's see the buying start here, right? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe they'll say, well, there's so much selling, we're going to wait for lower prices. So we get to find out. They got to take the risk. There's our volume kicking up. Good. Pound yen. Getting the volume. Good. Now, more times than not, this works out. But there are times where these buyers will get run over. Nothing is guaranteed. So we want to make sure this is right. Again, EJ. So you get to this fib area stuff. What did I draw there? And we get to find out. Pretty straightforward, right? There we go. Let's see what happens. Again, just because buyers are active, meaning signs of strength are showing, it's reaccumulation phase, whatever, doesn't mean the selling is inactive enough for it to be a high probability and enter the trade. That's why we wait for the test. And particularly if we're at lower prices, and this is something I had to add to the VSA method. Like I say, I didn't set out to change anything, but I wasn't going to not understand what I'm doing either. And I learned the Wyckoff stuff, VSA stuff. And I've just observed charts for a long time. There's things I had to add to the method. One of them is, and you may have heard of this if you know my stuff, temporary sustained, right? So this is a sign of strength. That means buying came in here. If we test there again, and again, like I was saying, it can happen a lot. We want to see that they're sustaining or continuing to buy, which we did see here. So basically, very simply, lower prices should be attracting higher volume and rejection, right? Then we know they're buying in a continuous way. Because one time could be a bunch of stops are hit, some activity happened, maybe there was news, blah, blah, blah. It could be a reactionary move, but not really a consistent thing that goes on, right? So once you see a second or third or fourth, once you see a second, you say, okay, it's sustained, it's continuous buying in this price area. It's all about price areas, right? So they're going to accumulate in here and most likely lower into the down move until we finally stop and get a proper sign of strength, which we may or may not get here. Now, the traditional VSA will say something else, which is where it starts to get confusing. Again, why does this work? Because it's a market principle that lower prices may attract buyers. If the activity increases, then you found them. This is how I define it. Think of anything in the market, right? Housing prices are going down, they're going down, they're going down, right? The market is bearish. All of a sudden, the activity increases in the housing market. We don't talk about buying or selling, but it's an exchange, so there's both. But the activity suddenly increases, but the prices do not continue to go down, right? Housing prices are going down, suddenly activity in the market increases, and the prices as a result are no longer going down. It's a change. It stopped, right? Stopped. Buyers. Has to be. Has to be. Okay, so if you think of it that way, would it make sense to have a no supply down here? Didn't that just totally confuse you? Lower prices showing lack of selling? If you're seeing lower prices, selling is active. The question is, are buyers being attracted to that price? So as soon as you see low volume into new low ground, or low volume into support or into a zone, which we didn't get quite yet, that's telling you the buying is not continuous in that price area, right? Just think of it as not a sign of strength. So to look for a no supply, you got to look for it in the right spot. So you're not looking for it at support. That would be, again, a low volume signal in an area where high volume is what we want. So why would high volume and low volume both be good, right? That's when you start to go, oh, maybe I'll buy the software. So if that's the principle, right, then higher prices, right, again, should be attracting sellers. Isn't that where you want to test for sellers? Makes sense. So the 14 EMA, right, things that you're going to run into. So if you're moving up, you're going to test, you're going to see how much the higher prices may be attracting sellers. Then you get to particular spots, fibs, EMAs, areas of confluence. This could be a previous support, now turned resistance, whatever it is, but 14 EMA certainly. See, the low volume here is the pausing and the buying and the testing for sellers. So they're not testing for sellers down here. They're buying into the down moves, or they're not. And in this case, they are. Selling comes as higher prices, right? If you wanted to find out about sellers, what attracts sellers? Higher prices. Again, think of your house, right? What would attract you to sell your house? Higher price. The market's gone up. So these are just market principles applied to a chart. and amazingly fit in with support resistance, the EMAs that I use. See the 50 EMA resistance, 14 EMA checkpoint, the fib zone, as I made it the zone, the 5618, right? So you apply these principles and you use those areas, and you identify the Wyckoff phase. You're there. You're reading the chart. So here we have the increase in volume. Here is what we're looking for. So far we have that. Again, if the sellers are proving to be too active here, see, this is losing the pattern here. These long positions are not happy, but luckily I'm not in it. I was waiting, being patient. But the down moves are potentially going to bring longs on other pairs. So if it doesn't set up properly for the pound because it's just too weak, but they're still buying into it. Look at that regular size candle, high volume into new low ground. So buyers are still buying into that. There is a 618 here, so it's very likely it's doing that now. And then we'll be on our way. This is saying they're still buying into the down moves, but they're not exactly, rejecting it and popping it up. I think they're just sort of being patient and allowing, because lower prices are better. You want to buy at low prices, right? Market principle. Pretty straightforward. So it keeps coming down, they'll most likely keep buying into it, have no problem with it. If they don't, then again, if this was low volume, it wouldn't be a no supply. It would be lack of buyers, no demand. Not really, by definition, no demand. But it would be telling us the demand is not there. So hopefully that's clear when I say about that. And if you find things confusing about VSA, hopefully that clears it up. And again, I just got that stuff from observation, learning about market principles. And what I like to tell people is learn about supply and demand and market principles, which is really not that complicated. Outside of the trading world, and particularly the Forex world, right? Get outside of that world. I found, college lectures and stuff, and just, you can find stuff on YouTube, educational, that's going to teach you about supply and demand in the market. But if you see anything that has to do with trading, skip that and try to find something that's outside of the trading world. Because then you run into Sam Seiden and stuff, which is not supply and demand. They call it supply and demand, and it is not this. It's support and resistance, and it's silliness. Sorry. So get out of the trading world. Go on YouTube, search supply demand. Make sure it's not a trading thing, and you can learn basic market principles. Really simple stuff. You should probably learn it in school, but maybe not. Probably not. Okay, well, smart money can buy all they want into these down moves. I'm going to wait for the sellers to go away. Look at that. There's our high volume right where we expected it. Oh, my screen is paused for the webinar. So we see them buying, patiently buying. Here we go. Could be the pound yen off 618 that I end up taking. It could be the EU if we come off of this buying now and get a no supply. What else? AU has that area. Sign of strength already. What else? EJ. So it's very correlated today. Very simple. So everybody just did that sign of strength, right? The lower prices came in and the buying. Just in the last few minutes there. Guess I'll leave up EU and this. Okay. So this is what I wanted to see here. If we get a no supply, valid entry. Really at any point could move up here, give a no supply, and give the entry maybe at like 18 or something. At least it's better than trying to chase it up here. 10 pip difference. But again, it's seeing them buying again, which is really helpful because there also was some selling that showed up there, which suggested that this was likely to come. So made the right move there, waiting. Let me check the YouTube chat, see if anything's going on there. Terrorist attack. Oh, I had no idea. What happened? What? Sorry, let me catch up on all this writing on YouTube, all the comments. Which broker am I using? FXCM. Have you used Traders Away? No. Is the volume from the broker your custom magic indicator? No, sir. I'm waiting for very patiently, sort of not so patiently, for it to be uploaded by this person who's doing it and has got it all done. But the last thing he needs to do is upload it to the VPS, virtual private server, and he says after that it's all good. I'm eager to get it myself because right now I don't have it running. Haha, send me some spam. Okay, he's happy so far. You haven't gotten spammed. Okay, you want some spam? I'll send you a can of spam in the mail. Pete, how do you know they are marking it up intentionally? Is a higher green bar combined with higher volume? No. If the volume's excessively high, right, there's only buyers and sellers. So as price is moving up, if you see excessively high volume, it's a warning sign that selling is likely active, particularly if it's into higher prices. So what a healthy markup looks like is you're not seeing higher prices attracting. Now, it may be slight increases. That's normal. But once volume starts standing out as it moves up, it means selling is also active into that up move. So don't get it confused with a situation which you can have buying very active, buying and selling both active, but buying is more active. So you have high volume but higher prices, high volume but higher prices. That's saying buyers and sellers are both active, but there's more buying. I call that aggressive buying, but it means that. A healthy markup is, again, put yourself in the mind of smart money. Higher prices are not running into sellers, so it would not attract a lot of volume. Remember, what creates these high volume points is the bouncing around that as the herd or traders going the wrong way or chasing a news move or whatever are buying, smart money selling into that, and you get a lot of tick activity concentrated in a small price area. So you get a regular size candle or a little larger than usual candle, and then really high volume. So the opposite of that would be prices are moving up, and as new higher prices are coming in, it's now running into selling against that. So you don't get high volume. Again, this may not be in lockstep with traditional VSA, but I'm telling you, it is correct, it is factual, and it will take all the confusion out of it. So hopefully that answers the question. But when you say, again, how do you know they're marking up intentionally? It's basically the pattern of them accumulating like we're seeing now, and you'll see points where there's tests for sellers and they don't show up, and then what I explained it will happen if there's a healthy markup. Now it's moving up medium volume, and it's making good progress. So they've pre-positioned, and now they're marking up. Thank you very much. Have you been following your thread? Okay, cool. Very welcome. You're one of the best for explaining how the markets work. I can rank you among the best. Livermore Wyckoff. Wow, thanks. Anna Coolin, cool. I'm not sure I agree with all these people on everything. And some things I've simplified. And again, just to know where I'm coming from, I studied all this stuff 2007, 2008. I really started getting into the Wyckoff and VSA stuff. And it's just a lot of trial and error. And in the end, having to understand things myself and trust my own judgment and make it something that I really own in my own way. But of course, all that stuff got me on track. But, whether it's Wyckoff or VSA or whatever, again, you see I'm applying market principles that apply to any market. Call it what you want. Call it Fader, Trade Guider, Williams, all these people. Whether these people even existed, the laws of the market exist. Maybe slightly different ways to approach it, but I do like my way, right? I guess I would, right? The market was bought, but not by SM. That is why it's going lower after the buyers got absorbed. Shorting would be about 50. Well, GJ's hitting it at 618, and I would, if you're saying that the signs of strength are not smart money buying, I would say that it is. It doesn't mean that it has to go up immediately after that, but the only explanation for lower prices getting stopped on high volume is demand coming in. And if demand is coming in that way, You either have a consensus among the herd to suddenly start buying all at once at a low price, or you have smart money doing what we know they do. I think it's more likely, right? And then when you get multiple tests of low prices and you keep seeing that, it's very unlikely that the herd is constantly on the same page and buying into lower prices together. It's really the trademark of smart money activity. That's the way I see it. Hey, maybe I'm just wrong and lucky. Huh? Is the down move on euro and pound due to the terrorists? Oh, yeah, I have to check on that. I have no idea about this, that this happened. Today is risk off after bombing in Belgium with the markets still be hit. I believe what I see on the charts, as messed up as it sounds, I think people are used to this now. As messed up as that sounds, I think markets can take a lot. But in the end, the chart tells me everything I need to know. I know it sounds cliche as a VSA trader or something, but that's what it is. Speaking of which, let me just check in on my other screen. Yeah, I should probably get back to that. Bombing in Brussels? Okay. Let me get back to the chart. I get carried away. All right, so what I was looking for is a no supply test here. We didn't really get that, but we're starting to move. Whoever said the pound's going down, I beg to differ. AU. I mean, the long entries are there. They're just a little aggressive to me. And I've been very conservative lately in the high win ratio and maybe a little less, 2 trades a week instead of 3 on average. But the market's been giving me the setups I want. If I was looking for a no supply here, like I said, and then I would have entered. This is still a very good looking move. There was some selling here, but the overall picture is, the background's going to tend to play out, most likely break that. I really do like the way the pound yen is behaving, and we could come up and get a no supply. Again, AU, we had a sign of strength. We may break out. You can get a break, a low volume test, no supply test continuation. But you see the way they all bounce off of the predictable spot. They're all behaving very well, very predictable. So I was looking for a no supply in EU. Didn't get that. Again, it's like if you're long on some of these right now, I wouldn't say you're crazy. I'm just trying to stay conservative and stick to my really basic stuff. If I don't get a trade for a couple days, I may get a little more aggressive, But for the past many weeks, I've been very conservative and getting enough trades, getting good trades. I really do like this bullish situation. I want my textbook entry. Could happen off the pound yen right there. No supply here, maybe. But yeah, there may have been attacks and whatever, and I should go check that out. But right now, the charts are fine. Once you really know how to read a chart in this way, you know the conditions. Sometimes everything seems okay, and the charts are completely chaotic. There's not a consensus among smart money, and it's really bad and messy and chaotic. And there won't be any maybe particular reason in the news. There could be things we don't even know about. So I really just have to go off the charts. Can I take a look at dollar CAD? Sure. Was it you who asked about the dollar CAD before? I forgot what it was. Last time we did the live stream was this day, I think, because I think I remember. But either way, somebody was saying they're long. I said, okay, but you better watch out, because I think we were both right. But to look at it now, let's start again. Oh, that's my multiple volume template, which I don't have. All right, so let's go back. Daily chart. We are in a downtrend with a few days up. I just like to mark my basic levels, nothing fancy on a daily. I notice that the previous support, term resistance, and 50 fib are basically the same level. If the trend wants to continue down, it may happen off of that. It could come together with the 14 EMA. Look familiar. So that's just an obvious fib, so I want that in there. Volume will lead the way, of course. So what am I seeing here? Well, we certainly had weakness today. Yesterday was sort of a mix of buying and selling. This is my 1 hour overview, and then I go to the 5-minute to really see detail. By the way, let me just check on these. Okay, so I may get a no supply here. Is everybody testing at once here? I think we're testing. Yes, we're testing. The market is very locked in, very correlated. Everybody's testing now. Now is the test. Test for sellers. We just got another sign of strength. Moved up, right? Higher prices may attract the sellers. And so the buying pauses and they test. You get a no supply. You sit here on low volume. It's communicating to us the sellers are inactive. If we move down or we get a volume spike leading to a down move, then selling is still overly active and we don't want to consider the long yet. So the market is officially testing now. Back to the dollar CAD. So, well, I know the dollar is basically, weak, and that's why the EU, GU, AU, is bullish. But I also notice the UJ is correlating with that, so the yen is even weaker. This is not as clean as a lot of the other charts. But if we look back at the recent high volume points, again, we have weakness today. Yesterday, a bit of a mix. We can get in there and look. A bit of strength here. Strength and weakness kind of mixed together. There's no trend in the last 4 days. Probably the trade to look for is to short off of here if it sets up right. I don't love it right now. Okay, now that we know that, let's look. Okay, so there's the weakness today. That is real. If that was in here, it would have been nicer for a good probability setup, but it's here. I don't think that's any particular level. Pivots, I don't know. I mean, this guy now at this point is behaving like the euro dollar in reverse, right? Flip it around. This is the euro dollar chart. So the projection here off today's activity is down, but the background is not necessarily so clear supporting that. So that's my official answer. Yesterday's really sloppy. Now, if you look at the euro dollar, which is similar today but in reverse, that's more clearly bullish. This background's a little mushy. See strength, but then we saw weakness. We're talking about weakness on this. It's mushy. It's not so clear that their firm is clearly positioning. But as of today, this is all locked in, and this is bearish, just like these are bullish because the dollar is weak today, and it's doing these things at this point in time all over the place. So bearish, but not as good as the bullish setups as far as trading the dollar. Okay. All right. Let me just hold on a second. Okay, I'm going to end with the live stream on YouTube. There's no more questions there. Looks like selling dollar CAD, yeah. Yeah, I agree dollar CAD is bearish, but the background doesn't support it as well as the flip side, which is the bullishness of on the other dollar pairs. You know what I mean? Dollar Swiss, for example, is most likely bearish. How good it is, I don't know. You got to look. Unless the Swiss franc is really weak, but otherwise that should be bearish too. That's kind of what's driving it. Weak dollar, weak yen. All right, guys. So I'm gonna end the YouTube stream. Good having you. I'll do it again sometime. Why am I at the wrong profile here? Oh, hold on a second. Okay. All right, guys, till the next YouTube live stream. Again, if you want to be notified, go to that website that I just typed in and put your address in the subscribe box, and you'll know. You'll get an email when I do it. All right, guys, till next time.